Tonight on News 5 Live, GOB rejects all union proposals for cost savings. The special envoy says children being re-traumatized in circulated videos. And sea pirates are sent to prison in Belize. These stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
Hello? Okay, sure, I'll be there. Hello?
Hi, Mommy. When are you coming home? I really miss you.
Hearing the voice of our loved ones can always lift our spirits and make us feel whole again. With Smart's twice as nice promotion, prepaid customers who make 5 minutes worth of national calls on Sundays can enjoy 50% off. Top double on all national calls for the rest of the day. Call your loved ones and enjoy half off all day long. Smart, bringing people together.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
That's the sound of fuel efficiency. Every day, every time, I choose Una Fuels, powered with Dynamax. Una, a brand committed with the future.
A workplace that is healthy and safe protects you and those depending on you at home. Prevent the spread of COVID-19 at work by following these steps. Always practice safe and healthy habits, like keeping your work environment clean and disinfected. Adapt working conditions and methods to reduce the risk of infection. Use personal protective equipment properly at all times. Speak up if you do not feel safe, because your safety and health is the priority. Frontline workers are exposed to a higher risk and need particular attention. Cooperate with and support them.
It takes all of us to stop the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
For more information, visit www.covid19.bz. A message from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize in collaboration with the International Labor Organization.
Want to leave a lasting impact when you travel? Then travel locally. Make memories to treasure for a lifetime while making a difference. Make protected areas your next travel destination. With over 25 protected areas under the APAMO umbrella, the possibilities for adventure and education are endless. You can bond with friends and family while trekking through the jungles to discover natural pools and breathtaking views. Or take that snorkeling trip to the magnificent world of coral gardens and marine life. Then camp under the stars to end off that perfect day in nature. By visiting protected areas, you are helping to preserve valuable plant and animal life. You're building local communities and you're keeping our natural and cultural heritage alive. You have that power. Travel locally and make an impact. We invite you to visit a protected area near you and discover the beauty of Belize's wild places. APAMO, the voice of Belize's protected areas.
Do you need to apply for a Social Security card? With our newest online service, My Social Security, applying for a card just got easier. With a My Social Security account, you can apply for a card anytime and anywhere, putting you in control. To use this service, you must first create your My Social Security account. Visit our website. Under Online Services, select My Social Security, provide your personal information, and await activation of your new account. After activation, you are free to log in to your My Social Security account to complete your online application for a Social Security card. Be sure to book your registration appointment to finish the card application process. Gain control and truly experience Social Security at your fingertips.
newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Friday, March 26th. I am Sabrina Daly. GOB is not budging. At least that is the news coming out of the unions. The government has flatly rejected their cost-cutting proposal and wants to push full steam ahead with the salary cut and increment freeze to reduce the wage bill by $80 million. Earlier this week, the unions informed their members that matters have stalled because they don't agree with GOB's position. Today, first Vice President of the PSU, Dean Flowers, spoke virtually with the press to say that they will continue to resist GOB's proposed measures.
Effectively, what occurred was that the government, in many words, rejected the union's suggestions and proposals on how we could collectively and amicably move forward in addressing this deficit gap. Pretty much everything seems to have been rejected, because even where the good governance suggestions and proposals were put forward, even those excuses was put forward as to why those shouldn't be addressed. And so, yes, we're stuck. We've said to members, it's impossible. It's impossible for anybody to be able to look at the wage bill and shave $80 million off of it without cutting salaries, freezing increments, or retrenching. And so, but we do not agree. We certainly do not agree with that approach. And we want to look at the two sides of the equation. The government doesn't want to do that. So I believe, Jules, that we are at an impasse. I believe that the unions will continue to resist this. And another way out of this is perhaps for us to enter some kind of arbitration or negotiation or trade dispute invokement or something, to see where we go from there.
But it may not be a done deal. According to PSU's Dean Flowers, GOB reached out to allow them a final chance to ventilate their reasons for their unwavering position. That meeting couldn't happen today and has been pushed back for Monday. And we'll tell you about all that next week. But you'll remember that GOB has less than 2 weeks to go before the reading of the budget. And so a decision needs to be made as soon as possible. What we can tell you from the union's position, they claim that as a body, they have not declared their position on the matter, whether they will accept or resist it. Now those come with big implications. Here's more from Flowers.
Thereafter, the joint unions will have to huddle with their amounts and with their executive. And we will have to then, the choices are few. You accept it, you reject it, and you resist it, and you see how long we can hold out. Those are our limited options. You either accept it or resist it, and you resist it forcefully. The joint union unanimously has not made that decision. The public service union has received, to a certain extent, the sentiment of many public officers what have to come next, but we're not there yet. I keep saying to them, we're in consultation. We're in consultation, and until the government acts and violates your terms and conditions of service, then that is the grounds that would then empower us to move in any direction that you so propose that would entail possible industrial action or whatever. We understand the pressures on the budget, but like I said, there is only 2 ways out of this, Jules, or maybe 3. We could maybe compromise somewhere, but the government is insisting that they want all of it. And I have also said to my people, under no circumstances can they receive all of it.
And now turning to more public service matters, Dean Flowers is calling out the Ministry of Health and Wellness. He alleges that public officers are being treated to very disrespectful and wrongful actions. He says one such incident happened today, where 2 officers were basically chased out of their office. He explains what went allegedly down.
It's really unfortunate, the actions of the Minister of Health and Wellness. It's really unfortunate, the actions that he took this morning. It's very sad, the actions that one of his advisors / medical officer / I don't know, broker of vehicles, dealer, I don't know what the guy poses. What he did this morning is very unbecoming of anybody that should consider themselves a medical officer or advisor to the government. He kicked 2 public officers, as I understand it, out of their office, saying to them, based on the instructions of the minister, clear your desk and go home. The officer, I understand one of the officers said, look, I cannot just leave my post, I need a letter. And he said, well, there is none for you. The minister said, clear your desk and go home. The officers did vacate. One of the officers already had a letter, Jules, which was sent to him prior to this incident today. That officer was scheduled to be transferred on Monday. So that officer today would have been his last day. So he had no difficulty leaving, but the other officer was attacked for wearing a yellow shirt. Because his words, this medical officer / technical advisor, his words today to her was, the audacity you have to come to work in yellow shirt to resist 10% cut, and now the desk can berating the officer. Very unbecoming, very unprofessional.
So there you heard Flowers allege that the officers were being transferred at the orders of the Minister of Health and Wellness, Michelle Shabat. But it doesn't end there, according to Flowers, because the minister himself allegedly tried to get rid of a senior finance officer in his ministry and told her she would be moved to another ministry. According to Flowers, Shabat acted outside the scope of his authority. He explains.
I want to call for them to stop these type of political attacks on public officers. On the FO side, a senior FO, 25, 27 years, I believe, in the system. She was approached this morning, also not by the so-called advisor, but this time by the minister and the CEO, I understand. And she was accused of not giving them the kind of respect and regards that they would want from her. And I think there was a conversation surrounding her, a request for their budget numbers. And the officer rightfully responded respectfully to them to say, it's difficult to construct a budget when there is no consultation within the ministry. They're bringing in advisors upon advisors. They're dismissing people. They're hiring aides. So these things affect any budget. And so there was a conversation there, and then the minister instructed the FO, or informed the FO, that he is effectively ensuring that she be transferred to the Ministry of Immigration. Now, I am trying to figure out, how does the Minister of Health and Wellness gets such authority to tell public officers where they'll be transferred? That's not his place. That's for the Public Service Commission. And so this arrogance that we see continuously displayed by the minister needs to be called out.
And Flowers also took the opportunity to take some closing shots at Minister Michelle Shabat, calling his actions arrogant and disrespectful. He alleges that Shabat's issue with the financial officer in his ministry stems from a failure to follow procedure. One, he says, that was laid out way back in January as it relates to vehicles.
all FOs were called into a meeting, I believe, in January by the Financial Secretary, whereby they discussed the budget and whereby they discussed spending. And part of that discussion also covered the spending on ministers' personal vehicle, which was to have ceased. The FS was clear that ministries ought not to be paying for ministers' personal vehicle, because ministers who don't have a government vehicle will be provided with a motor vehicle allowance of $1,350. Minister Shabat has 3 invoices that he wants paid by the ministry for his personal vehicle. And so while the conversation this morning surrounded the budget and perhaps the FO not doing or submitting to him the budget as he claims he had requested, it seemed to be that it surrounded the payment of those 3 invoices for his personal vehicle, when in fact the financial secretary has approved a motor vehicle allowance for him. Where the AOs are concerned, there is hundreds of requests for the creation of posts, for the dismissal of people. I think it's important that we understand the kind of abuse that this administration is effecting on public officers, the same kind of abuse and political interference that they accuse the Barrow administration of, the exact same kind. They are no different. And Belizean people need to understand that when these parties are in opposition, their behavior is purely hypocritical. Purely hypocritical. Because what we had in the last administration was interference in the Ministry of Public Service. Hire this one, fire this one, move this one. And what we've seen in the last 3.5 months is the exact same thing. Hire this one, transfer this one. Jules, there are some public officers who have been transferred 6 times. 6 times in about 1 month or 2 months.
Residents of Silkgrass Village woke up to the startling news of a murder this morning. The grisly scene of a vicious stabbing was discovered by a neighbor who saw her friend, a forest officer recently moved to the community, mutilated inside his home. It happened overnight, but was not reported until sometime around 7 a.m. While Dangriga police have detained the wife of Omar Cantun for questioning, residents believe that the Guatemalan businesswoman inflicted as many as 56 stab wounds on Cantun's body.
This morning around 7 o'clock, a frantic phone call was made to the police station in Dangriga that Stephanie Alvarez, a recent transplant to Silkgrass Village, had found the lifeless body of her husband with multiple stab wounds to the body. 45-year-old Omar Cantun, a forestry officer by profession, was butchered and left for dead. A neighbor recounts what she found out this morning.
I say, what happened? He said, he dead. I said, who dead? He said, Omar dead. I said, girl, no man. Say where I try wipe my face, open the gate, and I come out of my gate and I start to run from where I live. The feeling what I feel. I say, something wrong, something really wrong. When I run over, you know, I walk in the yard. Before I reach, I meet one vehicle and the police, and I say, sir, I hear what dead body do over here, please assist me. So they reverse back and I run, come up, and I walk up the step.
The neighbor made her way up the flight of stairs. What she saw when she entered the house is a ghastly image that will remain etched in her memory. Omar laid motionless with visible injuries all over his body.
I spoke to Omar last week, Thursday. I spoke to Omar because they may have an incident here with she. And I come and I tell him what going on. And from then, he watch this lady. He said this lady is very deceitful. And from then he said when he got to work, he know the lady must have next man. I tell her, I don't know that. That's not my business. I can't do that. That's not my business. I mind my own business, you know. So if you see my neighbor like that, all I could say, that was crime of passion.
According to the woman who asked to remain unnamed, she observed Canton's body inside the bedroom, but it was apparent that Alvarez had taken a bath or cleaned herself before she called for help.
I see the shit bloody. When I walk in the room, I see my friend, my neighbor, on the bed, stab up. Later, the blood don't dry. Like this man done dead long time, like maybe from earlier in the morning. Later, I look past she and I say, before I left, I see water that drip out of she here that knowing if you go and beat that on the way going to the stretch where this man body there, so you gonna beat before you call anybody that this man dead on this bed. I come outside, and when I come outside, then I see the police there. I say, yo, the man dead. The man dead on the bed. The man have lot of stab wound. I mean, like crazy stab all over his back.
Allegedly, Alvarez had told the neighbor that her husband was attacked while asleep inside the house. That story appears to be less than credible, as Canton is described as an easygoing individual, notwithstanding the domestic issues the couple was experiencing.
I look past she and I tell she, girl, nobody not kill this man. Come on, you know you had problem with this man. Nobody in a Silgrass, Silgrass is a peaceful village. Nobody in a Silgrass do that kind of thing that we recreate. You know not even for Silgrass, you for, I don't even know you for Kayo. I met you in Kayo. You understand? If you see my friend on the bed, how about all the guts come out through the side of his back? I mean this person here, I think they killed him when he must get intoxicated due to him having the body. Create this man a peaceful person. This man here, he's so calm.
The weapon used to inflict the wounds on Canton is yet to be retrieved. 52-year-old lesbian Stephanie Alvarez, a Guatemala national, has been detained pending the outcome of the investigation. Reporting for News 5, I am Isane Cayetano.
After the break, 2 police officers are in hot water for coming on Open Your Eyes. Details when we come back.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "Woe to them that are at ease in Zion and trust in the mountain of Samaria, you that put far away the evil day and cause the seat of violence to come near." And Zechariah says, "And the angel of the Lord said, We have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still and is at rest." Our society today has been infiltrated and infected by cults being led with men with demented minds and demonic wills. How can we ever forget the nearly 1,000 people several years ago who followed Jim Jones to Guyana, later committing mass suicide, or the followers of David Koresh in Waco, Texas, who were led to a horrible death by burning? However, there is another cult that you hear very little of today that we must fearlessly confront, and that is the cult of the comfortable. Christmas Evans described this cult through the simile of the blacksmith's dog. He related that when the blacksmith first took his dog to his blacksmith shop, that he was very fearful and frightened, yet later he became so accustomed to the sounds and sparks coming from the blacksmith's anvil that he could go to sleep right under the anvil. Likewise today, many have heard so many sermons about sin and hell and salvation and heaven that they go to sleep under the power of the gospel while the sparks of damnation fly all about them. Have we become so complacent at ease in Zion while the world is rushing into hell that we have failed to confront this cult of the comfortable? Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
Started getting ready for Easter yet? If not, to get the cash you need to hit the road, take a sip, and kick your feet up for your Easter adventures, apply online at quickstoponline.com or head on over to your nearest Quick Stop branch for the cash you need. As a first-time customer, enjoy your holidays with no payments until April. Offer ends March 31st. So let's get you Easter ready with a no-hassle loan from Quick Stop Personal Finance Center.
Prevenir el contagio de la COVID-19 requiere que los negocios de todos los tamaños y sectores den máxima prioridad a la seguridad y salud en el trabajo. Los gerentes y empleados deben realizar evaluaciones de riesgos para identificar áreas y procedimientos que ponen en peligro las vidas y los negocios. 6 pasos para crear un lugar de trabajo seguro y saludable. 1. Identificar posibles fuentes de transmisión de virus. 2. Determinar quién podría estar infectado y cómo podría infectarse. 3. Discutir y decidir las medidas de prevención y control. 4. Implementar, comunicar y testear medidas. 5. Asegurar que el equipamiento de protección es adecuado para cada situación. 6. Mantener registros, revisar medidas y actualizarlas cuando sea necesario.
We must all do our part to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
Para obtener más información, visite www.covid19.bz. Un mensaje de la Cámara de Comercio e Industria de Belice y el Congreso Nacional de Sindicatos de Belice, en colaboración con la Organización Internacional del Trabajo.
Digi y el Banco Nacional de Belice se enorgullecen de asociarse con el gobierno de Belice para facilitar el desembolso de los fondos de la transferencia de efectivo COVID-19 de Belice a través de nuestra plataforma segura y fácil de usar Mobile Pays. Después de obtener la aprobación como beneficiario de los fondos de ayuda, se le informará por SMS cuando su pago mensual haya sido depositado en su cuenta de Mobile Pays, a qué tienda Digi o sucursal de Banco Nacional se le asignó y cuándo puede ir a cobrar. Debe traer consigo el teléfono al que se le envió la notificación para presentar su número de cuenta y para recibir su código de validación y recibo. También debe traer su tarjeta de seguro social válida. Después de que su información sea verificada, recibirá un código de validación que deberá dar al agente. El agente le entregará el monto total de los fondos asignados para ese mes y usted recibirá un recibo vía SMS con un número único de transacción. Digi y el Banco Nacional de Belice están comprometidos con el desarrollo de servicios innovadores en beneficio de todos los beliceños.
Lord, patience with them people out here. I want to talk to the one who sit on the street, they hold their mask, they dangle it from their hand like this, or they put their mask on their chin like that, or put it round their neck like so. Or worse, they one will like they hang it from their neck like that chain. Then when they see the police they come, they hurry put the mask on their face. You don't understand the harm you do to yourself. And not only to you, to other people too. If you want to be infected with the COVID-19 virus, go through. But you have to understand, all are we affected by your fool action. Not just you. People like say they can't take the mask. What do you think better? Deal with the mask fairly well or end up in a hospital? If somebody not live in the same house with you, you have to wear a mask when you're there with them. Even if they're your family or your company, you still need to wear the mask. Everybody you meet could have COVID-19. When you wear the mask the correct way, if you cover your whole nose, your whole mouth and your chin, that's how we will protect all our way.
A message from the Pan American Health Organization, World Health Organization, the European Union, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Es un hecho que puedes obtener servicios ilimitados con Smart. ¿Cansado de que se corte la línea cuando más necesitas estar conectado? Es un hecho que cuando te suscribes al plan de Smart Plus, obtienes llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Y también es un hecho que te puedes suscribir con un grupo de 5 miembros al plan Smart Share y hasta 40 miembros al plan Smart Enterprise para llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Smart tiene los verdaderos planes ilimitados. Es un hecho. Sé Smart y vive de forma Smart.
Alleged Belizean sea pirates Jaime Coote, Vincent Martinez, Fernando Avila, Justin Palacio, Jeremy Leslie, and a 17-year-old minor, all reportedly from southern Belize, are tonight spending their second night behind bars at the Central Prison in Hattieville. The group of men were busted by Honduran authorities in the Baja Mar community of Puerto Cortes with stolen engines and other items earlier this week. By Wednesday night, they were handed over to Belizean authorities, processed the following day in Dangriga, and have been remanded.
I believe that the police will do their due diligence in processing these individuals, and with the second phase of this investigation with these coastal pirates.
That's linking them to other crimes that have been happening here in Belize.
Right, linking them to some of the robberies that have occurred in our southern waters. So I believe that is ongoing. It is now in the hands of the police. There were two main groups actually. The Coast Guard, along with its key partners, GI3, Fisheries Department, Placencia Formation, Dangriga Formation, we've been collaborating and we've been working diligently in dismantling the core of these criminal networks, but we've also been relentless in pursuing their associates. So what has transpired here, Marisol, is only phase one of our plan. So by no means is this done. By no means is this the end. We will continue to ensure that we follow the leads. We'll continue to ensure that that no stone is unturned as we try to locate the associates of these individuals and ensure that they are brought to justice.
A pair of police constables who were recently victorious in a claim against the Belize Police Department has been charged for appearing on Channel 5's Open Your Eyes morning show a few weeks ago. WPC Aaliyah Wade was one of several claimants in whose favor the Supreme Court ruled that she was lawfully permitted to wear her hair in dreadlocks. In the wake of that ruling, Channel 5 invited Wade and other officers to appear in a segment of the show to discuss their ordeal as officers in the department. As it turns out, police officers are forbidden from speaking to the media on matters relating to the department without the permission of the Commissioner of Police. On February 26, Wade received a letter from Internal Affairs reprimanding her for violating the department's social media policy. Aside from this latest development, earlier today, Minister of Human Development Dolores Valderramos Garcia spoke about wider implications of the court ruling.
I don't know what the orders and the disciplinary procedures and regulations of the police department are, but certainly in terms of what happened in the case, I think that Belizeans should agree that we cannot be placing very restrictive rulings and provisions on how people should wear their hair. Once you knit, once you wash your hair, once you know head lice, once you respect the order and discipline of where you are, I think we should be able to wear our hair in a natural way because that is a part of our identity, Everybody of African descent in Belize, including myself because I have all kind of blood in me, everybody should respect the cultural values and approaches of everybody else.
It's something we often see discussed in international news. Now, 2 Belize City men have filed civil suits against the Belize Police Department for racial profiling. Case management conferences held this week set court dates for May. In December of 2020, Greg Nunes, through his attorney Leslie Mendez, filed papers, while Brighton Codd filed his suit in January of this year under the Fundamental Rights and Freedoms legislation. The men claim that the Belize Police Department breached their constitutional rights when, on separate occasions, officers conducted stop-and-search operations that resulted in no charges against the men, but their identification documents were photographed. The men's attorney noted today that news reports have indicated that the department has since discontinued the practice, but that her clients say that, quote, any feelings of relief or joy which the news may have prompted is markedly tempered by the impact the practice has had on them and others who have been subjected to it, unquote. The internal memo from police has last year's date, but was circulated this week. Stop and search operations were first brought about around 2018 as a strategy for the police department to tackle crime and arrest criminals before they reach their planned destination to carry out their plans. The practice was met with sharp criticism from the public, however, for targeting people of a specific ethnic background or appearance. Justice Antoinette Moore, who presides over the Southern Session of Supreme Court trials, is expected to hand down a ruling shortly on the murder trial of 33-year-old Nicholas Suazo. The Crown and the defense wrapped up closing arguments recently in the trial, and a date and time will be set for a verdict. Suazo was on trial for killing George Street gang boss Gerald Shiny Tillett in April of 2016 at the Wadani shed in Dangriga. Suazo was also shot twice in his back in the crossfire between him and Tillett. In 2015, Suazo was acquitted of the murder of Mennonite businessman Wendell Reimer, who was killed during a robbery at his business, Eagle One Hardware. That incident happened at mile 4.5 on the Philip Golson Highway in 2011. In the Belmopan session of the Supreme Court, 23-year-old Ashton Puerto is spending his first week of a 17-year prison sentence after he was found guilty of a lesser charge of manslaughter. Puerto was charged in July of 2016 for the murder of Malik Norris in Roaring Creek Village. The two had a dispute over money and a bicycle, and although relatives advised them to let the issue go, they met up, and on July 10, 2016, in another world area of the village, Norris was shot and killed. This morning, before Justice Westman James, submissions were made in a claim brought against the Attorney General's ministry by Ian Haylock. Haylock was primed to succeed outgoing Comptroller of Customs Colin Griffith upon his retirement. When the Bersenio administration took office after the November 2020 general elections, Deputy Comptroller Customs Estelle Leslie was promoted to that position. Subsequently, a claim was filed in which it was stated that the process of selecting Gibson's successor via the Public Service Commission was circumvented. Senior Counsel Dean Barrow represents Haylock.
Your Lordship will recollect that the previous Controller of Customs was coming to the end of his term. He wrote to the Financial Secretary, this is Mr. Colin Griffith, to say that he was looking office and he was proposing to hand it over to the claimant as the next in line. And in the context, he referred to the fact that this sort of thing had been either signaled or discussed beforehand. But in any event, he wrote to the Financial Secretary saying that he obviously was of the view that the claimant was going to succeed him on the basis of the framework that governed promotion and appointment, particularly in all circumstances, to the post of Controller of Customs. As a consequence of the ex-controller's letter to the Financial Secretary, the Financial Secretary sent for the claimant. Now, my Lord, what transpired in that meeting is proposed to by the claimant. The defendants have not seen it fit, have never seen it fit to have the Financial Secretary put forward an affidavit suggesting that perhaps the claimant's recollection of the way the conversation went was inaccurate or that there was some misunderstanding on the part of the claimant of what he, the financial secretary, was saying.
After the break, it was a horrific video that Channel 5 chose not to air. But the special envoy has choice words for those who did. Rosana Briceño calls for more responsible reporting on children and youth. Stay with us.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is pleased to announce the opening of Phase 2 of our vaccination plan. We have vaccinated more than 76% of healthcare workers, and we are presently at 38% of adults over 60 years and over. Persons who are included in Phase 1 are encouraged to continue to come out and to be vaccinated. We are now inviting all teachers and police officers who are in Phase 2A and eligible to visit the nearest Ministry of Health and Wellness health facility. Teachers and police officers should bring along their relevant IDs and license to identify them as teachers and police officers. A vaccinated person brings us closer to stopping the pandemic against COVID-19. When it is your turn, go and get vaccinated. Love them, protect them, vaccinate them. Be COVID-19 safe. Get vaccinated, Belize.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, a safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace. It reduces the risk of infecting workers and visitors. An unhealthy workplace makes problems that are common to a pandemic even worse, such as increased workloads, longer working hours, isolation, domestic violence, stress, anxiety, and depression. On the other hand, a healthy workplace protects people, allows businesses to continue operations, and keeps communities healthy. You can do your part by following these steps. Wear a mask that covers your mouth and nose. Stay at least 6 feet away from others. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Look out for and follow all safety instruction signs. Stay at home and away from others if you feel ill. Speak up if you do not feel safe.
It takes all of us to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
For more information, visit www.covid19.bz. A message from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize in collaboration with the International Labor Organization.
Currently, we're using Smart Elite VoIP calling plan. We use it interbranch, we use it to call outside, and we also use it to call international. It's far cheaper than what we used to have before. Our equipment are new, PBX box is new. So the PBX is very good because I can call to my Sartaneja branch, I can call to my Kikaka branch, I can call to San Pedro branch, and there's no cost using the PBX. Actually right now, since we're in different locations, I can call main office from where I am at a no cost using the PBX system. I would recommend it, sure I would, especially the big enterprises who has a lot of employees. There's a lot of reduction in costs, 50% of saving. But that on a year, it's a lot of money that we're saving. Money that we could return to our members since we give back dividend to our members.
Visit our showroom or call 670-6710 to find out how Smart's corporate plan and PBX systems can benefit your business. Consultation is free.
Preventing the spread of COVID-19 at work requires that businesses of all sizes and sectors put safety and health first. Managers and employees should conduct risk assessments to identify critical areas and procedures that put lives and businesses in danger. Here are 6 tips for creating a safe and healthy working environment. 1. Identify potential sources of virus transmission. 2. Determine who might be infected and how. 3. Discuss and decide prevention and control measures. 4. Make sure the safety equipment being used is right for the situation. 5. Implement, communicate, and test measures. 6. Keep records, review measures, and update when necessary.
We must all do our part to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
For more information, visit www.covid19.bz. A message from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize in collaboration with the International Labor Organization.
2 weeks ago, the disturbing video of a 15-year-old boy being tortured in the Conch Shell Bay area of Belize City at the hands of 2 men went viral on social media. As a responsible media house, News 5 did not rebroadcast the chilling video on television or Facebook that captured the minor being stomped on the head, being hit repeatedly, and his finger severed. In the wake of the incident, the National Women's Commission and the Office of the Special Envoy issued a statement on the brutality. When we asked about the services being provided to the minor, here's how Special Envoy Rosana Briceño and Minister Dolores Balderramos Garcia responded.
I did get to see it, unfortunately I did. And I wonder where it came from, who was so cruel to do something like that. But unfortunately, TV station also made it its business to sensationalize it when they should know better that this is a 15-year-old and they need to be held accountable. So let's start with the media. Let's start with the media. Then you can ask what we want to do. But I know that the human resources, the Ministry of Education, and whoever else needs to be, they need to do their share to protect these children. We have laws in place to protect the children. Now, what needs to be worked on are the laws for those perpetrators. We have Domestic Violence Act, we have cyberbullying, we have all kinds of acts in place and laws, but they're not being adhered.
The phased return of in-person learning by the government is being met with some resistance. The decision was made following the advice of a COVID-19 education task force appointed by the Ministry of Education to come up with a plan. Earlier this week, the announcement was made that on April 12th, some schools will start to accept students at their campuses. But by the new school year, all schools would have to be ready to employ a system of its own design to have children physically in the classrooms. Special Envoy Rosana Briceño, a principal herself, was part of the task force. We got her take on the concerns.
Yes, there are phases, phase 1 and phase 2, which are not mandatory. And I think our families need to understand that it's not you have to do this. The schools don't have to do anything. We were looking at the phase 1, phase 2, that schools, parents can test run what they already have in place to see if it works or if it doesn't work, so that when we start in June, they're more than ready. So that was basically what we were looking at. I know there's a lot of confusion out there and a lot of assumptions that, oh, but we're not ready, and then they throw this away right now. No, this is a work in progress. This has been happening from last year through the DECs, where we had to put learning continuity plans in place. Every couple of months, they want us to tighten it. So that is what we were supposed to be doing. Now, I know that some schools in the remote areas, the most vulnerable populations, may never be ready. And that's why the minister has said, and it's being said over and over, there's no one size fits all. So they now give you one template and say, everybody have to meet this. Nobody will be able to meet it. But you know what your needs are in your community, in your school. So you adapt to what your environment is, what your school culture is.
Minister Dolores Balderramos Garcia threw her support behind Education Minister Francis Fonseca and his CEO for the phased return to the classrooms.
We have to learn English in this country, you know. They said a phased approach to reopening of the schools beginning on the 12th of April. You never say all schools and all teachers are forced back into the classroom on the 12th of April. When the schools are ready, when they have their wash basin and their hand sanitizers and soap and physical, infrastructure that they can open, then they will open. And I have every confidence in Ms. Mejia and Minister Fonseca that they will make the right decisions. Since you have given me the opportunity, I would like to call on the teachers for full cooperation. I was looking at an interview last night of a teacher, and very big respect to her. But it almost sounded to me like she was speaking out of both sides of her mouth, because on the one hand, she was saying, we're not ready. And on the other hand, she said, well, I love my babies and I'm ready to take them back and for us to get going, because our babies have to get back into school. Even if we call them babies right up to the age of 18. Let's get our children back in school.
On Wednesday, the Garifuna community spoke about struggles surrounding communal land rights. In that press conference, its representatives spoke of land issues affecting 3 Garifuna communities in the south, between the villages of Barranco and Midway, St. Bite and Placencia, and Georgetown and Maya Mopan. It's about the preservation of the cultural heritage of the Garinagu. Today, Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Dolores Balderramos Garcia, told the media that the government is in meeting with 3 groups in the south to see how the issue can be addressed.
It was a long struggle for the Maya people to have gotten to the point of 2015 when the Apex Court, the Caribbean Court of Justice, ruled in the consent judgment. That was a long struggle. Now, will the Garifuna people do the same? That is a question that you may wish to ask them. But for my part and for the part of our ministry, I can say to you that we will do our very best to treat both indigenous groupings of people with equal respect. I do not wish to see that we will be favoring Maya over Garifuna or Garifuna over Maya. And we have had good meetings. We have had meetings with the National Garifuna Council, the Indigenous Foundation of Hopkins. We have also visited last week. We were down in Georgetown and Hopkins and Dangriga, and we do plan to visit Toledo as well. But I want to say to you that in relation to the matter that is arising now between Midway Village and Barranco Village, our Commissioner, Mr. Gregory Chuck, is on top of the situation. I think a meeting is convened for Monday, and we will listen.
The various groupings include the Garifuna Nation, the National Garifuna Council, and the Hopkins Indigenous People Foundation. Minister Balderramos Garcia also spoke about the progress on the consent order issued by the CCJ in terms of the communal land rights case won by the Maya people in the South back in 2015. With a new commissioner, in the person of attorney Greg Chuck, who was recently installed, the minister says that they have hit the ground running to ensure that progress that should have been made from the Barrow administration are now in motion.
The issues are complex because we have to try to achieve a delicate balancing act. On the one hand, we can't give away everything in Belize to Maya people or Garifuna people or to anybody. That's on the one hand. But on the other hand, we have to recognize that because there are customary land rights, then we must do things in a different way. And this is why you have what is called the Free Prior Informed Consent Protocol, which we are now working on. And we have to report back to the Caribbean Court of Justice on that. So the issues will be complex, but I believe that working together we can achieve a way of living together, because many of the Maya people themselves are not all that keen to have everybody having communal and customary land rights everywhere you go. Many of our Maya brothers and sisters would like to have their own piece of land, their own lease, their own title. And I would never be here to stop that. But at the same time, the method in which we go about it will have to be maybe a little bit slower, but also doing it in a way that we do not mash anybody's con or step on anybody's toe because of the ruling of the court that Belize is a signatory to.
When we come back, the Coast Guard has a symposium for women as part of Women's Month. Details when we return.
Set in place by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Passengers traveling to the U.S. must present a negative COVID test or a documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 to travel to the U.S. In light of this, Maya, in partnership with Caring Hands Clinic, have established testing centers in all their municipal airports. Caring Hands Antigen Test Center is operational in San Pedro, Belize City, Dangriga, Placencia, and Hopkins. These testing facilities are staffed by licensed healthcare professionals, including doctors, registered nurses, and nurse practitioners. Testing is done using Abbott rapid test devices that are FDA approved and made in the USA. The service is safe, fast, affordable, and the close proximity of the centers makes them convenient. Walk-ins are welcomed, but appointments are encouraged. If you would like to make an appointment, please feel free to do so at Make your appointment, get tested, and in 15 minutes, you can get back to your vacation.
Un lugar de trabajo seguro y saludable protege a usted y a los suyos en su hogar. Todos debemos implicarnos y cumplir con las medidas para prevenir el contagio del virus. En el lugar de trabajo, practique siempre hábitos seguros y saludables y mantenga los lugares de trabajo limpios y desinfectados. Adapte las condiciones y métodos de trabajo para reducir el riesgo de contagio. Utilice correctamente y en todo momento el equipo de protección personal. Si no se siente seguro, dígalo. Su seguridad y salud es la prioridad. Los trabajadores de primera línea están expuestos a un mayor riesgo y necesitan una atención especial. Coopere y apóyelos.
It takes all of us to stop the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
Para obtener más información, visite www.covid19.bz. Un mensaje de la Cámara de Comercio e Industria de Belice y el Congreso Nacional de Sindicatos de Belice, en colaboración con la Organización Internacional del Trabajo.
As Women's Month nears its end, a series of activities carried out by the Belize Coast Guard in celebration of the 50 women enlisted with the new enforcement agency culminated today with a symposium at its headquarters in Belize City. Former Commandant John Borland and Minister of Human Development Dolores Balderramos Garcia, as well as the Special Envoy for the Development of Families and Children, Rosana Briceño, were the guest speakers of the event. Here's how that went.
Women need to be everywhere, not only in the armed forces, but women are everywhere in our country. And if there's an opportunity in any area, workforce, service force, why not? We belong there, everywhere. The norm is that the woman is the glue that binds and holds the family together. But we know for a fact that in Belize we have many, as a matter of fact, single men that are the fathers, the mothers, the caretakers in the home. And I really felt that if I just focused on women and children, we're excluding the family, and families make up the whole foundation, I believe. In families, there are men, there are women. So it's a teamwork effort that needs to be looked at when it comes to families in Belize.
Yes, you want to be a leader, but in order to be a leader, you must first embrace that there is the humility of being a servant of the people. And I see you all here this morning, and I believe in my heart that you all have embraced the idea of servant leadership. I really believe that in my heart. You know, we have our challenges, we have all the difficulties in our lives, but if we hold true to the principle of servant leadership, we will be able to do an excellent job in the work that is cut out for us.
The theme for the symposium was, "It's the service woman for me." In attendance at the symposium were members of the police department, the BDF, and the Coast Guard. One of the concerns addressed was the process through which aggrieved persons can lodge complaints. There have been numerous reports of sexual assaults behind military walls, so we asked Acting Commandant of the Belize Coast Guard, Commander Gregory Sabaranis, about that process. He says that the Coast Guard has a zero tolerance for sexual assaults.
Any grievance, really and truly, in our minds, is not gender-based. And while it may, we do have cases where you may have a particular female that may feel aggrieved, as you rightly mentioned, it can either be a situation where it becomes a police matter, or in our regulations, we are empowered, we are authorized to one, initiate an inquiry, and based on the results of those inquiry, if the alleged perpetrator, based on the balance of probability, based on the evidence that surfaced as a result of that inquiry, will be charged internally within the organization. So even though that person may be charged by the police, they can also be charged internally by the Coast Guard. And we leave no stone unturned when it comes to offenses such as those where our females are affected. And our policy is a zero tolerance when it comes to our females.
After the break, as the region keeps an eye on COVID, one Caribbean island keeps watch on a volcano. Caribbean news when we return.
The jackpot is now at $121,071, and it can all be yours come next bingo game. Purchase your Mega Bingo tickets at any Mega Bingo outlet countrywide and tune into the live show airing this Saturday, March 27th on Channel 5, Wave Radio, Radio Bahia, and Love FM. The game starts at 8 p.m. You can also tune in live on Facebook and YouTube. Just search for Belize Mega Bingo on any of these platforms and play the game live. You can be the next jackpot winner. Don't miss out on all that mega cash. Remember, Mega Bingo is the game.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Durante la pandemia de la COVID-19, un lugar de trabajo seguro y saludable es un lugar de trabajo mejor. Esto reduce el riesgo de transmisión del virus entre trabajadoras, trabajadores y clientes. Los lugares de trabajo inseguros agravan los problemas durante la pandemia. Aumento de la carga de trabajo, jornadas laborales más largas, aislamiento, violencia doméstica, estrés, ansiedad y depresión. Trabajar de manera segura protege a las personas, permite seguir operando y mantiene a las comunidades saludables. Usted puede hacer la diferencia siguiendo los siguientes pasos: usando máscaras para cubrir boca y nariz, respetando el distanciamiento físico de 6 pies, lavándose las manos con jabón durante al menos 20 segundos, siguiendo instrucciones y señalización de seguridad y salud, quedándose en casa si está enfermo, diciéndolo si no se siente seguro.
It takes all of us to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
Para obtener más información, visite www.covid19.bz. Un mensaje de la Cámara de Comercio e Industria de Belice y el Congreso Nacional de Sindicatos de Belice en colaboración con la Organización Internacional del Trabajo.
As Belizeans hope they might have a less restricted Easter than last year, elsewhere in the Caribbean, some residents are dealing with a threat even greater than COVID-19. Those living in the shadow of the volcano on the island of St. Vincent are keeping a watchful eye on La Soufrière. Kenton Chance has this report for Caribbean Week in Review.
Vincentians are hoping that this Easter will not be a repeat of 1979. On Good Friday, 42 years ago, La Soufrière, the nation's volcano, shattered the quiet of the Easter commemorations. And as Easter approaches this year, seismic activity at the volcano has intensified 3 months after lava began oozing from the volcano. On Wednesday, the nation's disaster management agency urged residents of communities near the volcano to heighten their preparedness in the event that it becomes necessary to evacuate at short notice. Scientists have noted a change in seismic activity at the volcano in that instruments further away from the dome are now recording volcanic earthquakes. Geologist Professor Richard Robertson, who is leading the monitoring team, says this may indicate a change in the manner in which material from inside the volcano is coming to the surface.
This volcano, it could keep on effusing things as it's doing for a long time. It could stop, or else it could go explosive. And one of the things that would drive it to become explosive is fresh material coming in, new material to give it energy. So this, in a sense, is the first indication that maybe that's happening. It's kind of, we have to track it now to see if it's really indicative of that.
Head of the National Emergency Management Organization, Michelle Forbes, is urging people in the red and orange zones to begin finalizing their evacuation plans.
If you have not made arrangements as yet to really stay with friends and your family, this is the time to make those arrangements now.
In Chateaubelair, the western town closest to the volcano, 2 men who farm close to the mountain are convinced that an explosive eruption will occur.
Just beg people to go on the Soufrière now for Easter. It's dangerous to do it might blow up for the Easter. Good Friday, keep out.
Reporting from Richmond, St. Vincent, I am Kenton Chance for Caribbean Week in Review.
St. Vincent's history has been plagued by La Soufrière's eruption in 1718, 1812, 1902 and 1979. The eruption on May 6, 1902 killed almost 2,000 people, mostly Garifuna people, wiping out the last large remnant of that culture in St. Vincent. And that's the news. Viewers are invited to join News 5 for a special. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.